All right, well, it's time to get started. So, thank you everyone for joining us today for Reel 'em In using video trends to hook your audience. My name's Jacqueline Dillard. I'm the president of CalSPRA, and I'm very excited to be welcoming you to this session today. Before I hand it over to our presenters, I did want to just give a reminder that we have additional upcoming events. So please go to our website, check those out. We have our office hours this Friday. And then we also have the Holiday Idea Exchange, which is share your best tips as a gift to your fellow CalSPRANs. That's on December 16th. So definitely visit our website, check out the upcoming events. If you weren't present last year, the gift idea exchange was really popular and we got a lot of great tips and tricks. So definitely check that out. All right. And with that, I want to introduce today's presenters. We have Kayla Holmes and Noelle Anderson here today. And again, for those folks joining, thanks so much. They will be taking questions either via the chat or feel free to pop in and I will let them introduce themselves.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Kayla,
And I'm Noelle. Hi.
and we are the public information coordinators at the Huntington Beach Union High School District. We are a district of nearly 14,000 students. We have six comprehensive high schools and three alternative ed options. So we mainly serve high school students. So something to kind of keep in mind on how we kind of view Reels as a high school district, maybe a little differently than some people do when you're serving more at that elementary age. But everything that we talk about today, you can take and use it in your own way. But as Noel and I have been together at this district, we're entering our fourth school year together. But in our first 3 years, we tripled our follower count on Instagram. Social media has really been our kind of primary focus on connecting with our community and just being able to showcase what's happening in and out of the classrooms. But a little bit of a personal background for both of us, just in the social media realm, kind of growing up in the digital age. We were on Facebook in middle school. I also had MySpace that I wasn't allowed to have. But we kind of were in those beginning stages of what social media has become. Instagram came out our sophomore year of high school. So it was sepia filters and random weird things that everyone was posting. I could not have fathomed that back then we would have social media so prevalent in schools and especially at the school district level. But we really have been users of various social media platforms throughout the years, and being able to kind of be fluid and transition amongst the different platforms has definitely helped us grow as professionals in this space. Um, so just things to kind of keep in mind, thinking about when you are creating your own content, kind of how you also have grown amongst the different popular platforms throughout the years.
So, just to add on to that, something to consider. Kayla and I are both 29, so we're technically at the end of the millennial generation, and both of us have siblings in their 30s who have also been on social media since the beginning, and they have elementary school kids. So, as you think about your district, think about the age of the families in your district and how the parents in your younger families may have also been on social media since the very beginning, because a lot of the time that's who you're going to be targeting. So they've been kind of the pioneers of social media, just like we have been.
So we kind of wanted to get a pulse check, and I know it's a little different on a webinar than being all in person with each other, but in regards to how you use socials for work or personal use, how many of us are on Instagram? And you could do a little raise of hand if that's easier. You could throw something in the chat. Perfect. Okay, and then our next question for those of us who are on Instagram, how many of us are watching Reels kind of on the daily? I know I get stuck in my scrolls. Perfect. Okay, personally or work-wise, have we all made a reel before? Okay, and then who knows nothing about reels? I think we all probably have some sort of knowledge here or there, but you've seen them, you haven't really made them, and maybe it's a little scary territory. Okay, and then our last question, just kind of personally, anyone on TikTok? That's where we get a lot of our inspiration from. Perfect. I know I go through my nightly scroll switching between the two. Okay, perfect. So, um, like Jacqueline had said in the beginning, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat as we go through. We'll try to answer those as we kind of see them pop up, but we'll have a little bit of time at the end to answer anything that we didn't answer, as we kind of continue through. Okay. All right, so kind of the big why for social media, and I think this is a big thing that we all kind of deal with in our jobs. Like I mentioned before, it's kind of one of our main priorities for how we connect with students and families. We're able to show off all of those positive wins and stories and just really showcase what's happening, whether it's with a project in a classroom or students connecting in a unified event. It's kind of that big picture moment where you get to show off all those fun, like highlights of what is happening within the district and all of your schools. And within that, we're able to recognize different athletic programs, arts, teachers, staff, clubs, programs. There's so many things that we can share of what happens on the day to day on social media that maybe some people who are shopping around for schools or they're uncertain, they just moved to the area, that we can really show them who we are by posting and showcasing student faces, staff, different kind of pieces that makes up what our schools are. And through that, by being consistent on social media and all of that, we really prioritize doing that to be able to create this positive brand and brand awareness on social media. We want, especially being a high school district, having students wearing their jerseys, they're going out to games, they're walking around the community. We want that positive, recognizable feel when people see that. Similar to how you see Starbucks, you see the logo, you know exactly what you're gonna get when you go there. Kind of Target, you see that like you have a sense of calmness when you see something that's familiar. So by really being able to show off all of that, we really truly humanize our district and kind of show off how we can be relatable instead of kind of that scary unknown.
So, if we kind of dive into all that a little bit deeper, why is social media the best place to do this? So students and their family, they're actively on various platforms. Almost everyone nowadays, as we saw through our poll, is on social media. We might prefer different platforms, but regardless, we're all consuming similar content. It's just kind of trickles across the different platforms. Most of us are on social media to entertain, to be entertained and to connect with others. At least that's why we're on there. And most of the people we talk to as well. So it's a great place for that. And we need to try to work into how do we do that as a school district? How do we entertain and connect while still getting important information across? So think about who are you trying to connect with? Is it the students? Is it parents? Is it both? For us, it's both because we're a high school district. So we're really trying to connect with those students because they're at that age where they're on social media, they're helping to make some of the decisions. They're informing their parents of what's going on. So really think about what ages you're trying to reach and what platforms they're generally on. So millennials are technically ages 28 to 44. So that means majority of our K through 12 parents are going to be millennials who helped pioneer the social media platforms since forever. So they've been on MySpace, Tumblr, Facebook, now Instagram, TikTok. Some of them are still on Facebook. It's still relevant, especially for some millennials as well as older generations. But a lot of our younger audiences are on Instagram now, as well as TikTok. So for those of us who are trying to connect with students, high school students most specifically, they're not on Facebook. A lot of them don't even have Facebook accounts. So again, since we're a high school district, we're targeting those students and parents. So most of our content is tailored towards Instagram, but we still post everything on Facebook because we want to make sure that we're hitting as many people as possible, that everybody's able to get that content and be informed of what's going on. And while different age groups and audiences might prefer different platforms, one thing to keep in mind is Instagram is the number one platform for photos and videos, while Facebook is the number one platform for like current event and news, as well as messaging with family and friends. For point number two, like Kayla was talking about, it helps build brand awareness. So we want to, as a school district, as an LEA, as our schools, be recognizable and have a positive reputation. And social media is really nowadays how you connect with a brand. If you think of some of your favorite brands, your favorite clothing stores, your favorite restaurants, like I follow a lot of those on social media to keep up to date with what they're doing, what they've got going on, what promos they're running. So we want to be able to do that same thing as a brand because as a school district, that's where people are going to learn more about these brands. Third, breaking the stigma that district schools and LEAs are boring, which I think we've all gotten that rap before. I think we're doing a good job collectively of breaking out of that. But one way to look at it is when you think of some of the brands or influencers that you yourself follow on your own personal account, what personally draws you in? Is it their like beautiful curated feed? Is it they play along with the trendy videos? They have content that you're just interested in. A lot of them keep their pages kind of lighthearted, fun, enjoyable. So those are things we want to kind of infiltrate into our own social media platforms.
Yeah, so if picture's worth 1,000 words, then what is a video worth? So by using videos on top of us having photos, we really try to show that window into the classroom. If people are shopping for schools, how do you make sure that your social media really truly showcases what goes on in your school, the community, the culture, that is going to make someone want to attend? So, with that, one of the biggest ways that we like to do that is with Instagram Reels. So what are Reels? More recently, Reels can now be up to 3 minutes. If you post a video that is longer than 3 minutes, it's still gonna post as a reel, but I don't think you can post it in that like reel space. But most Reels are typically going to still stay under 90 seconds or less. And one of the biggest things to truly keep in mind is that people want to be entertained, like Noelle mentioned before. If you're scrolling, think about what really hooks you when you are the consumer. If you're not hooked in that video within the first 3 to 5 seconds, most likely you're scrolling to the next video. So, unless you have this big, grand information to share, and there's other ways to share that out, you want to make sure that your reels are easily digestible. They're designed to captivate your audience in a matter of seconds. Um, and that's truly how you're going to be able to kind of create that audience that wants to come back and see your content. Reels are also just such a fun, easy way to create interesting, captivating videos. And a lot of the times, these videos will follow trends that have lighthearted content. I know we've all seen kind of the dance videos. That's kind of how TikTok and um, smaller creators have started with kind of those dance videos. But we like to do a lot of things with like recap videos. We'll go into in a couple of slides the different types of reels that you can make. But a lot of the time, there is kind of that trend that follows, which we'll go into in a little bit. But one of the things to keep in mind is to watch your insights. If I think most of us probably do have our Instagram set as a business account, you can go into those insights and check what your average watch time is on just different reels that you've made. Um, Average watch rate, I think, kind of in general, is about 5 seconds. So when you do have that really important info to share, you want to make sure that you're reeling in that audience within the first 3 seconds. Um, about a year ago, we noticed kind of 5, 6, 7 seconds was our typical like watch rate on most videos. And that was about the same whether it was a 10-second video, whether it was a 60-second video. But with this school year, we've really tried to be a little bit more creative and kind of get more captivating type of content. And our watch rate in the last few has averaged around 10 seconds for the videos. And for some of that, it's maybe a 13-second video. So people are really truly watching more. And I think that kind of shows just that we've created this community that's excited to view the content we create. But regardless of what your watch time really is, you definitely want to be sure that you're captivating your audience within those first few seconds.
Just to add on to that, we've also found that our followers typically watch longer than non-followers, which is great because that's who we're targeting. Although it's fun to go viral, it's fun to do those things. We want to be connecting with our specific community as well as reaching people in our community that might not be following us. But it's fun to look at the followers versus non-followers and see, make sure they're watching a little bit more, a little more engaged. So using TikTok trends. As most of you guys probably know at this point, most trends originate on TikTok and they just kind of trickle over into Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts now that that's kind of getting bigger. So really, by staying up to date on TikTok, you can jump on the bandwagon early and get on those trends. So Kayla and I, we have our own, even though we don't have a district TikTok, we have our own personal TikToks and we'll go through and look at videos, save them, send each other ideas. So we encourage you to spend time on those platforms, even if it's not your school platform, to see what are the trends, what's going on. And a good question is, how do you know what's trending? And while there's no like exact formula, I think of it kind of similarly to like fashion trends. So generally, you kind of like see somebody wearing something, for example, like skinny jeans. And you'll see people wearing more and more of them. And then all of a sudden, lately, it changed to mom jeans, and you see more people wearing mom jeans. And now it's barrel jeans. You see these kind of trends happen. You can see it with fashion, you see it with social media. We're a society that loves trends. And so, really, when you're scrolling through social media, pay attention. Are there certain sounds, certain audios that you're hearing consistently, certain video concepts? And when you see those repeated a couple of times, jump onto that bandwagon as soon as you see some repetition because it's likely the start of a trend. And the sooner you can get on those trends, the better it's going to be for you. The algorithm's going to bump you, start showcasing that more because that's the kind of content people are wanting to consume.
There,
Okay, so we also just kind of want to, oh, definitely do
sorry,
you.
there's a quick question in the chat around social media use policies, if you have any to share. But then also, I'd like to add on to that because you are working with to target high school students as well as their parents. Do you find that there's a little bit more leeway in the trends that you use that perhaps younger audiences shouldn't? And that they're like, how do you gauge appropriateness?
Yeah, so for the first question, we don't have like a guidelines for employees. Um, there might be something in our handbook. I'm not 100% sure. We'd have to go back and check. But when it comes to, because I think with being in the high school territory, we definitely have more accounts that surround the schools versus just the main school account. We have different clubs, we have sports. All of our clubs have trusted adults that kind of oversee those accounts. But with our sports, it might be the captains that run it. It could be the booster mom. It might be the coach. Like there's different people who run it. So we meet regularly with our athletic directors. We usually have a big summer meeting with them and we kind of just go over kind of different social media like do's and don'ts in a sense. And we also kind of how we view our like main accounts for our schools, our ASBs, our Associated Student Body, our leadership classes, they run typically the main school account if there's not one already run by an adult. Some of our schools have the ASB account and then a regular account. But we meet with them once a month. We're constantly kind of in and out of the ASB classrooms. We'll do at the start of the school year kind of a oversight with them so they kind of understand what they should and shouldn't be posting. Um, with students being in charge of certain accounts, of course, there's kind of the things that come up here and there that like maybe that audio shouldn't have been used. But then we kind of just turn those into learning moments. We'll have send a quick text to the teacher, they'll kind of handle it. Um, but with different trends, it kind of depends on the school and their community. We've had I mean, we really haven't had any trends that have been used that have been negative. I know we've seen in our community different things being used, and then people are like, that's inappropriate. Like using the Love Island, like a hot new bombshell just walked into the villa. I know I've seen that being used, and they're hilarious and they kind of fit the point of like introducing a homecoming court or something like that. But there's always going to be people who have their feathers ruffled. You're not going to be able to please everybody, but that's not to say do it and don't care. I think keeping it as appropriate as possible. We did have, I don't know if anyone has seen the trend. It's like to my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and it's like students is kind of showing the lower half, and they're all like hip bumping each other in a line for the beginning, and then they do like a little dance. And so one of our ASBs, they were like, "Is that okay to use?" Like I know it says like one word or something, and they're like, we're just gonna make it the boys, like it's not gonna be the girls, like, and they were so cute about it. So we're like, yes, like they're thinking about it, which I think kind of shows our impact on them of trying to make sure things are appropriate. And I thought it was really cute that they double checked and asked. But I think something like that, high school appropriate, whereas probably not as appropriate for maybe a middle school to use.
And the stuff that we post specifically as a district, that if you look through our reels, I think everything that we've ever posted could easily transfer over to a middle school or elementary school. Our ASBs have a little more leeway. And again, we try to make sure that they're posting appropriate content. We talk to them about the audio, about that. And like Kayla said, they come and ask us for ideas and talk to their advisors. Is this okay? But for our specific content, I really do think it transfers over. I don't think there's any trends we've done that would be inappropriate for a younger age group because we try to keep things clean and make sure it's wholesome on our own channel.
Yes. Did that help answer any? Do we have any follow-ups on that?
And
Don't
if we
see
do,
any.
my understanding as well is we don't have a board policy. We've talked about should we have one, should we not? If we do find anything in a handbook or board policy, we'll pass that on to Jacqueline and she can share it.
Perfect. Okay. So we kind of just wanted to give a little bit of statistics to back up everything that we're saying about reels and why you should make them and why they're so fun. But kind of why they're the catch of the day. The one thing with Instagram Reels are they really are the best performing. For they account for half of the time that people are spending on Instagram, and more than 2 billion people interact with Reels every month. So those are massive numbers. One of the things that Noelle had mentioned before is our videos typically are more, they're watched longer by our own audience than they are by our non-audience or our non-followers. But a lot of the time, you will have more non-followers viewing your reels than your actual followers. We kind of see, I think, usually like 70 non-followers to 30 followers split. But that's so important because we are able to reach and connect with those surrounding our community, even if they may not be following us. Reels are also the most engaging. They get 22% more interactions than a standard video post, and they receive more comments than single image or carousel posts. A lot of the time, when we work with our different students, we love seeing when they're sharing the reels out on their own accounts, when you kind of see who's been putting stuff on their stories. They'll all comment on it, and it's so fun just to see how interactive they get with the district account. Um, and that really helps kind of drive that engagement and makes our content more seen to more people. And then Reels are also the highest for impressions. They drive the highest impression rate for brands on Instagram. So for smaller brands with accounts around like 1,000 to 5,000 followers, they're seeing an impression rate of 75%. So just to kind of put that in context, if you have about 1,000 followers and you would have approximately 750 people seeing your content. And while we normally say impressions aren't the best form of checking your insights and your analytics, but when you think about the context of social media and when you're putting out ads and you're just trying to get your content viewed by more people, the more times that that gets seen, the more recognizable that you also will become. So even if we say like, oh, we're not supposed to check our impressions, but someone has seen your video pop up a couple of times, it's going to kind of stick in their head and they're going to remember you the next time that they see your content and they're going to kind of keep coming back for more. That also in turn helps reaching just more potential students and families and people that are in the surrounding community that you want to come to your district. One of the examples that we have of like a small brand are one of our schools. They have a second leadership class that isn't as involved as the main associated student body, but they're just right underneath, kind of help and support. And I don't know their exact follower count, but it's less than 1,000 followers. But their engagement rate on all of their content is like 25%. And so for those of us who kind of follow engagement rates, for smaller brands, anything over 5% is really good. And so they're consistently having people commenting, sharing, posting, like just engaged with their account. So it's really showing how important it is. And they put out all these fun reels and showing off different things that are happening on campus. So they're using those reels to their advantage to really truly hit their community.
So talking about that small brand, so something that's really great about Reels is small brands actually see a higher view rate than larger brands on Instagram. So I think that's the algorithm's way of helping us out. And when you think about it, our districts, LEAs, schools are closer in size to a small brand. We're more like a boutique on social media than a Target. And so this really works in our favor. And really, with audience growth for small brands, it's a great way for brands to show off like the behind the scenes content and connect with their current audience, as well as push their following. So, if we talk about connection for a sec, one of the amazing things about Reels is they can give more of that window into or behind the scenes look into what's happening at your school sites, at your district, your LEA, which just makes you more relatable and allows you to connect more with your current audience. And since we are a small brand, we'll be getting more views and have the potential to grow our follower count because we're being pushed through by the algorithm up, getting more views.
Perfect. So to go into the different types of reels that we can create, and within every category, there's the opportunity to follow some sort of trend that's going on social media. Our favorite category of all of these is the recap and highlight. You can take content beforehand. You can have an idea for a video before you go to that event and kind of know what clips you want to get. A lot of times we'll go to a pep assembly, take a bunch of videos, we'll come back, we'll find something that has a trending audio, throw it into that template, and we've created a short, quick video showcasing something that just happened, but we also are following a trend. So with different campus events, like I said, pep assemblies, there's lunchtime activities. For sports, there was one time I went to a CIF game, left the memory card out of my camera, and I was like, I'm 30 minutes from the office. What am I gonna do? So I used my phone, took a few video clips, found a trending audio that had a template attached to it, put them together, and it did really well. And it really showed off. So it was a tennis match. So it showed off like these hits that the girls were getting, some awesome saves, different things. And it really showcased the game in a different way than just taking photos. We do end of the year and event recaps. We always have a yearly first week of school recap. We'll do like a New Year's Eve, what's happened so far in the school year, and then we'll do one at the very end to showcase kind of everything that has happened. And then we have informational videos. These ones might be a little less involved because you're not having a bunch of different clips from maybe an exciting event, but you can have information on positions that you're hiring for ticket sales, upcoming activities, and just sharing that important info. One of the ways that we kind of helped one of our schools make something a little bit more fun, when you're posting about homecoming ticket sales, sometimes having the same kind of flyer graphic up there can get kind of boring. And so I was scrolling through one day and I just saw Chick-fil-A was posting something, they had a new item. And the video was the person coming up, like acting like the paparazzi was taking pictures of them, and you saw all these phones, like cameras going off. And then the beat dropped on it, and they put down a piece of paper, and it had like the info that they wanted to share. So one of our schools, they did that for their flash sale for their tickets for homecoming. So it was just a more interesting way to show off that, hey, like one day ticket sale prices and make it into a fun little video that people are a little bit more engaged to watch than just scrolling past more of a boring type of graphic.
Okay, so for Connection Spotlight, these are going to be your get to know you videos, special recognitions, class projects, really when you want to like shine a positive light on something that is either special or doesn't get as much recognition as other things might. So some videos that we've done, we had a new superintendent start last school year. She's amazing. We love her so much. She is one of the funnest, funniest people. But a lot of the time, that superintendent role kind of gets that rap of being really, intense and even a little scary to students, not very relatable. We really wanted our students and our parents and staff to know that the person coming into this role is just another human, even though, she's helping to do all of this important stuff here at the district. She is really fun and awesome. And so we were trying to think of ways of how can we do like a kind of get to know you video that's still relevant to our district, but also kind of shows some of her fun qualities. And so at that time was really when the mini mics were kind of big with the little mini mic interviews. So we ordered some mini mics on Amazon. And basically, what we did is she went around to each of the school sites. Kayla did the interview, and we just had her share fun facts about each school site. And sometimes there would be a fact about her that related to the school site. So, for example, like one of our schools, their mascot is the Barons, and she had a dog named Baron. And so she talked about that a little. And it was just a cute, fun get to know you, get to know more about our schools and their history. We threw it together in a reel. We got people commenting how fun it was, saying how excited they are that she's going to be our new superintendent. So it was just a fun way to kind of get to know her better and make it instead of a little photo of her saying this is your new superintendent. It was just a fun way to kind of connect more so. Another thing we did recently, just 2 weeks ago, it was National School Psychology Week. And we feel like school psychologists are like one of those unsung heroes on our campuses that people don't really know a ton about. So what we did is we did kind of a interview style video with some B-roll footage where the psychologist kind of talked about what they do in their roles, the approach they take to different situations and students. And again, it really just helps shine a light on them and help people get to know what are these people doing on our campuses and why are they so great and why are we celebrating them. So it's just a fun way really to get to know these people better. They felt recognized and appreciated. Other people can understand, what their purpose is and why they should go see them and how they can help. So it was just a great way to kind of focus on and celebrate those individuals. The other type of reel, not really a type of reel, but one of the great things is really it can highlight inclusivity through diverse voices. So by using a variety of video types and topics, we create the opportunity to highlight all groups and voices across our campuses. So really the great thing about video is it's just a great way to show off different types of people, whereas a photo can really only capture so much. There's just so many more emotions, student voices, personalities that you're going to get through video that you just kind of miss in that photo. Don't get me wrong, we love photos. We're big photo people, but reels just kind of take it to another level. So some of the things on our campuses that we've been able to highlight to cause more inclusivity and increase diverseness are like different cultural celebrations. We have, the Tech Festival in January and Dia de los Muertos in November. Those are fun cultural celebrations to highlight through a reel. You can highlight arts, athletics, clubs, unified events, different types of people, students, teachers, maintenance staff, front office. There's just so many different types of people and types of events and activities that you can highlight through Reels that really helps diversify and unify your community. Um, One example of a reel we created was for a Unified Inclusivity Sports Day. And it's a really fun event where our special ed unified programs across our district come together and they play games all together. And while the photos for this turn out great, they're always so cute. When we did a reel for this, it really elevated it because it like truly showcased the students' emotions. Instead of just seeing the smile, you see the smile grow bigger and the excitement and their eyes light up. And it just kind of showed more emotion than the photos ever could. And again, highlighted that inclusive nature in such a beautiful way.
So now to kind of get into how do we create these reels? What are we looking for? How do we find those trends? There really is no, we kind of mentioned this earlier, there's no true like step by step, this is the right way to do it. One of the most important things, and Noel mentioned this earlier, is to really just be that consumer yourself and save videos that you see that you're like, this could be fun to do with this school. This might be a fun thing to do at the district office level. There's so many different types of things out there. And one of the things, we'll see it on the next slide, is how to kind of see when those audios are trending. But just keep in mind while you're scrolling, like, oh, like this sound has been used a lot. Or, oh, I've seen this video idea where people are doing this kind of skit a lot, and we can maybe flip that around and do it with maybe our maintenance staff or something like that. We always have a folder that we kind of save different reels. We'll send each other the TikToks. But kind of keep in mind, and then if you are doing those like you're going to an event, you know you're going to take some video footage to then go back and check to see what kind of audios are trending that might fit that video. So the first thing you want to do is to decide what type of video you're creating and the purpose of it. Are you using photos? Are you using video? Are you doing both? We've done a mixture of all the above. Sometimes when you're doing those like recap highlight type of videos for the year, for example, you might not have as much video content if you're not consciously taking it. I know it's so hard to take videos and photos at the same time at an event, but mixing in the videos and the photos is also a great way to kind of just showcase different things that are happening. Um, Keep in mind who is being featured in your video. If you're using audio, try to find one that's trending. There's a couple of different ways to find it, which we'll explain on the next slide. And then again, just always be sure to captivate your audience in the first 3 seconds. You really want to get them right at the get-go so they stay and they watch your video for the purpose of the time and effort that you've put in to create this and to get all that important information out. And then the biggest thing is really use templates. We will use templates that are right inside of Instagram in Reels, or if there just isn't something that we're finding, sometimes other apps like CapCut is a really popular one. CapCut has changed a little bit to where you have to post on straight into TikTok to be able to not have your little watermark. But if you have a personal TikTok account, you can post those videos where no one can see them. You can just make them private for yourself, and then you can download that and then post it into Reels. So we have done that a few times. And then always remember less is more. You want to make sure your videos are easily digestible. If it's going to be something way longer, sometimes you can't help it. Our psychology video, we were like 45 to 60 seconds, and it ended up being 3 minutes. Um, and so just kind of different things to think about. There are different ways. If it's more of a long informational video that needs to go out to parents, we all have those platforms to send that out, that information. Something you can always do to shorten is take the most important parts of a video, post that to Reels, and then caption out that you can get more information elsewhere. I see one comment about CapCut's new user policy. I'm not super aware on that. I have a personal account that I use on that, so there's nothing related to the district. But Noelle, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Sure, no, I haven't seen anything about their new user policy. I haven't done a reel in CapCut I don't think we've done one in the last couple of months.
Yeah,
We'll have to look into that.
perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing the link. Yeah, we'll have to check that out. Um, Yeah, what else? So if we do have that audio that we want to use that we've seen that's trending, or we can see that it's currently trending in Reels, we'll try to make clips work that match that if we're just doing kind of one of those highlight recap kind of videos.
So pro tip, kind of restating again, I know Kayla just talked about it, but really try to think about what content you consume and how that can be translated into education. So when you're scrolling, you know, think about it, save ideas. And we want this to be fun. It should be a fun part of your job. I know sometimes it can be stressful because it's like, we got to get content up, we got to make sure we highlight this, we got to feature this different thing. But be thinking about how can we make this fun? If you see a trend you like, try to, puzzle it together in your brain. Like, how can we make this applicable to our district? We'll even have things that we see, and Kayla and I will get together and talk, and we're like, how can we do this trend? How can we make it education specific? Even though there's nothing really going on right now, can we somehow fit it into this? Another thing, we haven't done this personally, but I was just thinking about like, use ChatGPT, use AI. Like, it's such a great tool and thought partner right now. Like, if you see a trend or a reel or some kind of idea and you're like, how can I translate this into something that works for education? Don't know if it works, can't speak to it specifically, but I assume it probably is a good resource if you need a little thought partner because Kaylin and I are thought partners, but if I didn't have her to chat with about it, it might be helpful to get some other ideas from another resource. Also, casting trick. So we've talked about this with how we work with our ASBs, Associated Student Body Leadership classes on campus. Regardless of if you have those or not, work with your students and your teachers. Like brainstorm ideas with them. They're going to be active on social media and they'll give you different ideas than you might have yourself. All of our For You pages are very specific to our own interests and contents. Kayla and I were talking the other day, and I'm like, have you seen this? And she's like, no, I haven't. Have you seen this? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So it's good to have other people to talk to about this, especially students and younger teachers, because they're going to be aware of what's trending for their age group. And I wish I could say, like, Kayla and I we're in that millennial group. I wish I could say that we know every single trend that's going on. We do our best to stay in the loop, but there are things that we don't know about. Our students in ASB will be like, "Oh yeah, this one." And we're like, "We have to go look that up. We don't know." But it's good because their For You pages are going to be more geared towards what people their age group are consuming. So collaborate with them, talk with them, hear out their ideas. It'll also empower them. And this is a tool that they'll be able to use throughout their lives. Like we're all using this in our career now. So give them that opportunity and trust them. Uh,
Yeah, so one thing to also mention, when you kind of see those trends popping up, if I don't know if anyone remembers this from a couple years ago, but when it was like, we're girls, we're gonna say we're not hungry, but then we're gonna take a bite off your plate. Or we live in Orange County, of course we're gonna shop at Fashion Island. Different things like that. Our now superintendent came to us and she was like, how can we make this video? And she's like, I see it all the time. It's so funny, it's so relevant, but none of us had seen it in the realm of education. And so we brainstormed, we talked with our principals, we made different lists, and we made one video for each of our schools, and we kind of made it half silly, half serious. And so it was the perfect six different video kind of series to post during winter break. And we had like one of our schools, they're always really great in wrestling. So one of their tips, and we had the principal and two students doing the whole video together. And so our principal was like, we go to Fountain Valley. Of course, our wrestling team is ranked in Orange County. And then you switch over to Huntington Beach High School, and some of our ASB girls did. We go to Huntington. Of course, we're tanning mid-school day, like total joke. but play on like where they are at in the community. And those did so well. Those were our first kind of like really viral videos. And we came back from break, and so many people in the office and at our school sites were like, oh my gosh, like I saw this pop up. Like these were so funny. And so those, like to this day, those are some of my favorite ones. And we were able to showcase our principals being a little silly, showcase our students, and kind of give some praise to the schools and then also be a little funny. And so things like that, that you're like, oh, like I see this trend all the time, but like schools aren't doing it. Why not be the first and see what can happen? I also see a comment in the chat asking about templates. Um, I very rarely will create a reel just piecing together a video. The great thing about the templates is it's going to match your video time-wise up with the beat of the music. So instead of having to listen to the music, cutting it to this certain point, adding in the next clip, it really takes away, like it reduces the amount of time that you are going to have to spend. There's definitely been times where I've had to screen record an audio, throw it into Canva, put all the video clips in, and do that myself when it was something I really wanted to do. But it's so nice when the templates match the beat of the music. All you have to do is adjust the specific point that you want seen. And so when you're kind of going in Instagram and looking for those things, that's definitely our number one tip of kind of ease of video making.
We also create all of ours on our phone. We don't ever do it on the desktop just because the desktop experience, Instagram is meant for the phone. So the desktop experience isn't quite as user friendly. So yeah, everything we do is phone focused. We'll just airdrop all the videos and photos and stuff like that.
Perfect. Okay, so just to kind of give a few examples. So when following different video trends, like we've mentioned before, just pay attention to kind of what is recurring, what you are seeing, what other people are talking about. Um, the video I'm about to show, one of our football teams is still in playoffs right now. But when playoffs started, I have been sitting on this video idea for about 3 years. Every time I think about it, our teams lose and they're out of the playoffs. So I wanted to hit it right when playoffs were beginning. And the fun thing was two of our schools were playing each other in the first round, but we picked the home school to do this video clip with. So I saw this a few years ago. I can't remember the school district that did it, but I thought this was such a fun way to kind of show off and support that a game was coming up instead of just having a graphic.
Hey, going to the game on Friday.
Thanks, you too.
Me too?
All right, let's get back to the school.
Thanks, you too.
Us too? Hey, watch on the class.
All right, so the little thing kind of cuts it off a little bit, but it says CIF round one versus HBHS Friday, 7 p.m. And so then in our caption, we put Principal White is so excited to cheer on the Chargers Friday night, like see you all at Cap Shui at 7. So just a fun, silly way to one, show off a little bit of personality from our principal, include the team captains, and just make a fun video. And it was such a fun day and morning. And we got there and the guys were there and they're like, so what are we doing? And so like I showed them like the inspo video. And then a couple of them were like rehearsing their lines on the side. Like, what are we saying again? And they were like, we're gonna put a bunch of plates on the for Mr. White to lift, and we're gonna lift it so it looks like he's lifting, but we'll lift it for him. So like he looks like strong. And it was so fun. And I think it's just one of the most rewarding things for our jobs to be able to connect with the students in fun ways. And then they're excited. And then you see them out on the field. And like there's just that connection that you've created instead of just kind of being that one person on the sidelines that they might not know. It makes them a little bit more excited. And it's just so fun to see it all come together in the end.
So that first video was following a video trend specifically. The second video we're about to show you isn't necessarily a video trend, but it's a trending audio that resurfaces every kind of end of year, end of calendar year. Kayla mentioned we always do a highlight video for the right before New Year's as like a New Year's Eve kind of thing. And you guys have probably heard the audio. And with that, the 2024 school year or 2024 year comes to an end. So we did a little recap video using that audio, which again we'll show you in one sec, but really fast, just to help you know when something is trending. Instagram gives you a nice little hint that an audio is trending and that people are using it. So if you look at the Finding Trending audio box at the very bottom, you'll see there are two different audios listed. And these audios lie right under the account name. If it's trending, you will see a diagonal upward pointed arrow. If it's not trending, you're just going to see a music note. But this is just a quick way to know, is something trending? Is this an audio that I could potentially use? So that's something we look for when we have more of those highlight type reels that we're putting a bunch of different photos and or video clips together, is we'll look specifically for those trending audios. So here is that little recap reel of the first half of the school year, right before we went into 2020. I think it was 2024 for this one.
Yeah, so one thing to add really quick, right with Instagram's kind of changed it, so it's harder to see what has a template, but you will see if something's trending, and if you see that it's trending, if you click onto the caption to open it up a little bit more and you scroll along the bottom little options, it has like, I think then the audio also pops up and like different things. You'll see the ones that have templates that'll say plus template on it. So you can click on template, and a lot of the times these ones will be associated with a template. So something to keep in mind when you're finding those trending audios.
With that, the 2023 season comes to an end. Good night.
So super simple, super short. And we did that mix of video and photo in this one.
So really just kind of as a wrap up, again, you really just want to be thinking, how can we apply these trends to education? These are different things that these two videos were things that weren't necessarily used for education, but we were able to tailor them to our needs and make it applicable. So it's stuff that students had already kind of seen and they were excited to consume. Again, when something's like a trending audio or a trend, it'll catch you in those first few minutes because or a few seconds, because they're used to looking for that. So really just think of, how can these trends you've seen recently be used on your own district or schools or LEA's social media? And most importantly, make it fun. Like, that is what kind of the point of social media is. Yes, we need to get that information out, but how can you make it fun? How can you make it enjoyable? How can you make it that's something people actually want to consume? Because if you're scrolling on Instagram and you see a graphic, most of the time you're not going to stop. You're in a doom scroll, but we want to find stuff that's going to be fun and stop the doom scroll.
Yeah, and one last thing before we close this out, one of the things to really think about starting making videos, whether you're currently doing it or you're not, but really trying to get into those classrooms, getting to know the students, having those relationships with the teachers and the staff members, it makes it so much easier to make all of these videos. I always tell them when I'm done, like, thank you for going along with all of my crazy ideas. It's just makes that community of it so much better. And like, we were currently filming for a Thanksgiving reel that we're gonna put out. And I went into the ASB classroom. The teacher was like, our social media team's here. Like, we need a couple volunteers. Like 15 hands shot up, and I needed like 2 kids. And I was like, I don't want to pick, like, you pick for me. But I'm like, they knew nothing of the video. They had no idea what they were getting into. But because we've made those relationships and that positive interaction with them, they're like, absolutely, like, I want to do it. Like, oh, like, I get to be on the district. Like, and it's become such a thing, which in my wildest dreams never thought could be a thing. And so it's just been so fun, and it's going to make your job just that much more rewarding and make those trips to the school so much better.
Just adding on that too, it's so cute to see, because you can see who like shares your stuff to their stories. Like so many of those students shared on their story and they're like, look, I'm here, I'm featured, even teachers as well. And it is so rewarding and so fun to see them be so excited and share that. And again, that's just going to increase also the amount of views you're getting on your content, more people that could likely follow you that might be a part of your community.
Perfect. So here's our contact information. If you have any questions that you think of afterwards, if you want to check out our Instagram, it's HB_UHSD. It's a fun place to be. But thank you all for joining. And if there's any other questions, we can take those now.
I also just dropped our Instagram in the chat.
All right. Well, I will say thank you, Kayla and Noelle. This was such a great session, and thank you everyone again for joining. The recording will be shared via our website, and then I will also double check to make sure that it gets sent out directly to everyone who registered for the event. It'll go out via email, so stay tuned. And then just a reminder, because we did have a couple of folks join us a little bit later, please do visit our CalSPRA website. We've got some upcoming events, including office hours this Friday, as well as the December gift idea exchange on December 16th. So you can register for those on our website. And we also have some upcoming callbacks as well. But this was so wonderful. I learned a few things as well, so thank you. And again, if anyone has questions, I believe you guys, your contact info is up there, so feel free to reach out with questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day.